Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Let me know if you can hear me and you can see my screen. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. If you know you're excited to be here, if you know you've been impacted since the beginning of this fair, just let me know in the comment section so I'll know that I'm not the only one seated here. Good evening. Good evening. Such a great time to be here again. Such a great time to be here again. Okay. Good evening. All right, so you're all welcome again to Career Fair 2023. I believe that at the beginning of this particular sections, you've been blessed from day one. Like the three sections we had yesterday, you've been blessed. Or let me say, okay, you've been blessed and you have started looking for ways to apply those things that you have learned. I want to believe so. For the section that we took yesterday, for the section that we took yesterday, I want to believe that you are not just writing them down, but you're actually, looking for ways to apply them in your life, because it's not enough for you to attend programs, attend meetings, and nothing happen afterwards. No, it's not enough. It's not enough. You are spending close to 3 hours, close to 2 hours at this meeting. So your life should not remain the same. So I want to believe that from yesterday till now, you have started thinking about how you want to apply it, whether you have a business or not, whether you have a career or not, whether you know your career or not. I want to believe that you have started looking for ways to apply them. You have started looking for ways to apply them. And I know for a fact that for everyone that is present today, for everyone that is going to go through these 3 days, oh, you cannot remain the same. Your business cannot remain the same. Your career cannot remain the same. I know for a fact, because in this career, it gives opportunity to acquire skills and to help you secure opportunities and also scale in business and career aspects. So you see that it's really focused on the part of our lives that will help us to improve, to grow, to be somebody, to fulfill purpose as human beings. So that's how it is. And today we are going to have another powerful section. Today is loaded, and I want you to be ready. I want you to be ready. And our speaker for us, we have 3 speakers for today, but I'm going to start with the first speaker, and her name is Mrs. Funto Ibuoye. Mrs. Funto Ibuoye, yes, Mrs. Funto, and she'll be taking us on the topic creative business management. She'll be taking us on creative business management. I want to believe that most people that are actually familiar with social media, if you're a Christian, you know who Mrs. Funto is. Um, from her profile, she's the CEO of 528. She's a global design architecture and the property development firm. So she's really good in her expertise. She has worked with a particular company where she helped them to build their business a lot to a very great height. So I believe that today, everything that she's going to be teaching us today, everything that she's going to be, all the points and everything, is going to really have an impact in our life. So before we go into it, I also love Mrs. Funto to introduce herself to us. Yeah, because far beyond what I've said, far beyond everything that we have, we have put out there concerning Mrs. Funto. So, Mrs. Funto, how would you love to introduce yourself to every one of us watching you? Yeah. How would you love to introduce yourself to us, man?
Hi, Catherine. Thank you. First off, my name is not pronounced Funto. It's pronounced Funto. It's a Yoruba name.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that, ma. Sorry
No,
about that.
that's fine. That's fine. But I think that you already did an introduction. So I'm really, yes, my name is Funto Iboye. I run 528, which is a, like she said, property development, interior design, and architecture firm. I started business in 2016. So we're going to be 7 years in November this year. And yeah,
Wow.
in relation to what we're doing here, in relation to career and business, yes, that will be my introduction. Before I started my business in 2016, I worked for I worked in 9 to 5. I worked with L'Oreal. L'Oreal is a global beauty brand. I worked in L'Oreal for about 2 years before they shut down operations in Nigeria.
Mm.
And then I went on to start my own business. So, yes, that's a brief introduction of what I do in relation to our discussion here this evening.
Yeah, we are
Thank
so glad to have you here. We are so glad to have you. We are so glad to have you because based on everything that you have done, we know that for today there's going to be a shift in our business, in our career, whatever thing I want to do. We'll know exactly how to do them based on the things you'll be sharing with us today. And once again, I should be teaching us, or should be speaking to us on creative business management. Creative business management. So, if you want to start a business or you have a business and it's not thriving as you expected it should, so she's going to be giving us tips. And I want you to sit back with your notepad. I want you to sit back with your writing material. Don't be carried away. Don't go on WhatsApp. You have to stay here so that you not miss any of the points. So, ma'am, we are ready to have you. Over to you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much again, Catherine. And I'm super
Yes,
honored to
ma'am.
be here. Super well done to the organizers of this event. So today I've been asked to speak on creative business management, basically from a point of view of how to, start and grow a profitable business. So I'm just going to start with sharing my own story on how I started business, right? But mm, before I share my story on how I started business, I want to share a little story on courage, right? So I remember that I finished school in 2010. I finished school in 2010, and I studied accounting in school. And I remember that after school, for some reason, I just wanted to be a makeup artist, right? And I remember why was because during my final year in school, Tara Dorothy had come to my school, which is Covenant University, and she had come to speak. And I was just so inspired by her story. And all of a sudden, I wanted to be a makeup artist too. So I remember I applied then. A business, House of Tara, was organizing a scholarship. They were giving out scholarship, and I applied, and I was just really seriously praying to get the scholarship, but I didn't get the scholarship. I mean, so I graduated, I checked, and I didn't get the scholarship. And, so I of course, I felt bad, but I went online. I remember I went on Facebook back then and I searched for makeup schools in Lagos, and I found a particular school. And the training fee then was 50,000 naira. So here I was just fresh out of school. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any job. I had this 3 months break before I go for my NYSC. So I didn't just want to stay at home doing nothing. But I didn't have 50,000 naira to pay, for the training, for the makeup training. So I remember, sending an email to one of my aunts in the UK back then, because she had previously told me that, oh, Funto, if you need anything, just send me an email, let me know what you need, So I took that as an opportunity to send an email that, oh, hello, auntie, I need 50,000 naira to go for this makeup training, right? So I sent her the email, and a couple of hours later, she responded, copying everybody in the family, my uncles, my aunties, my grandparents. My at this time my dad was late. So she copied everybody, and everybody was just going on about how I just finished from Covenant University. I studied accounting, and instead of me to be focused on going to do my icon, is out to be painting faces I want to do, and it's just going on and on, and like how I'm not serious, I'm not focused, I should go and do my icon. I know back then makeup wasn't like a thing as it is now, right? So I read all their email responses, and I remember that night I just felt so bad. I started crying. But the very next day, I woke up, I wiped my tears, I checked for the address of that makeup training academy, and I went there very early in the morning. I got there like almost past 7 a.m., even though they wrote that they opened by 9. But my idea was I was going to meet the owner of the place and explain to her that, oh, I just finished school, I really want to learn makeup, but I don't have any money. But if you can just trust me, you know you can just trust me and train me. When I start my NYC, I'll be paying you back in installments. And that's what I did. I waited till the owner of the business came in around like maybe past 9 a.m. Remember, I got there by 7. And when she came in, I told her my story and just told her that I really wanted to learn this makeup, but I didn't have money and all. And guess what? She said yes. She allowed me to do the training, and I said that I could pay her when I started my NYC, which my NYC was going to start 3 months after, right? So she trusted me, that much. I share that story to say that, at any point in time, at any point in life, you're not stuck. People might not believe in you, people might tell you no, but there's always a way around what you want to do. So the question is, what do you really want to do? Do you have enough passion? Do you have enough, you know, fire to go after it, regardless of who is supporting you or who is not supporting you? Sometimes your family will not support you, sometimes your friends will not support you, but do you have that passion to go after what you really want, regardless of who is supporting you or not? I just felt like I needed to share that, for someone here, right? So, because I understand that most of you here are, maybe fresh graduates, finished school 2, 3, 4 years ago. You're just young people here. So one of the things that you must, if you're going to go into in life generally, especially when it comes to business and career, number one, you must know what you really want. Number two, you must have the courage to pursue it, regardless of who is supporting you or not. You must have the courage to ask. I could have stayed at home and be crying and say, oh, my family don't support me. They don't want me to go and do this makeup training, and just be crying at home, right? Rather than going, I could have gone and she could have said no, right? And I'll probably cry and go back to my house. But guess what? She said yes. So you never can tell. You never know the answer if you do not ask, right? So what are you going to ask today? I want you to write that in your journal. What big ask am I going to make today? What's my big ask? What do you really want? And when you write it down, who can I ask, right? So how did I start business? So, I mentioned earlier that I worked with L'Oreal. Okay, so let me backtrack a bit. I finished, so that's, yes, I did I did the makeup training, and then I went for my NYSC. I served, and then I got a job of course, during my service year, I did my ICANN, and thankfully I passed my ICANN papers. I became chartered during my NYC year, and I just, I didn't even collect my I didn't even collect my ICANN certificates, right? Because I just knew that I was not going to use it, right? But I got a job as an accountant after then. And then after 2 years of working as an accountant, I got bored. I started to feel very dissatisfied. The job became very monotonous. And I knew that this is not the kind of life that I wanted to live. I didn't just want to live a life where I was just going to the office, counting numbers, doing Excel sheets, and just going back home. Even though at that time, this was 2012, 2013, I really my job was amazing. I had a, car and a driver to myself, and I was being paid in six figures, right? So there was no reason for me to leave, right? And I enjoyed the people I was working with. My bosses then were, they were young, they were all in their late 20s. I was in my early 20s, so it was a cool company, and there was no reason for me to, but I just knew that this is not the kind of life that I wanted. I knew that. I just felt like there had to be more to life. So I don't know who is in that space where you're feeling like there has to be more to life than just waking up, going to this job that you don't like, but you have to go to the job because, oh, they're saying there's no job in Nigeria. There are no jobs in Nigeria, so why would you leave your job? I remember at that time, I even could not tell my mom that I was going to resign, but I knew I had to resign. And also at that time, I had written my first book. My first book is called Beautified, right? And it was a book that was really excellently done. When anytime people see that book, they always ask me if I, published it here in Nigeria or abroad, right? So it was so excellently done. And after publishing my book and launching it, I just felt so dissatisfied with my job, and I knew I had to resign. But I couldn't tell I literally had to lie to my mom that I was going on a leave. And I remember having my meeting with my boss, explaining to him that I was resigning. And I kept asking, what are you going to do? Why are you leaving? But I could not even give a reason. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do next, but I knew I had to leave. I knew that it was time for me to, go. So I resigned, and then I told my mom that I was on a leave for 2 weeks. Anyway, so I started my fake leave. Thankfully, within that 2 weeks, I got I got a LinkedIn mail, right? I got a LinkedIn mail from a friend of mine who from a friend of mine, just basically saying that, oh, that she recommended me for the job of, the PA to the CEO of of an interior design company, right? And the interview date. She gave me the interview dates and I should go. She gave me the venue. So I'm like, okay, no problem. So since I was cooking at home, I didn't have anything. Let me just try this. So I went for the interview and I remember that was my very first experience with interior design. Before that time, I never knew there was anything called interior design. I didn't even know that, that there was a career or a business, a whole industry on interior design. That was my first encounter. I remember stepping into the showroom that day and I was just like, wow, wow, wow. Like, how is this place so beautiful? How is furniture so beautiful like this? So I did the interview and I got the job, right? And that was how I started, my passion for interior design started building, right? But I stayed on that job for 3 months, and then it was one weekend, I think, when I had volunteered for an event. I'd volunteered for a conference, and during the conference, one of the keynote speaker of the conference was the then MD of L'Oreal, right? So when he was done giving his speech and he was leaving, I displayed my books for sale, at the conference. So he saw my books, he picked up a copy, he flipped through it, and he asked for, who did the book. So someone came to call me. So I went to meet him and he gave me his card basically, and said I should come for a meeting with him on Monday. So let me just pause there and pick out the lesson. Whatever it is you do, anything that comes from you has to be excellently done, right? I had shared earlier that book, that my first book, anytime people see it, I don't have copies because it's also that this was in 2013. Anytime you're going to do anything, make sure you do it excellently because you don't know who would see it. You don't know who would encounter it. Anything that comes from you must be so excellently done, right? So he saw that book and he, told me to come for a meeting with him on Monday. This was on a Saturday. So I go for a meeting with him this Monday morning. After spending like 15 minutes with him, next thing he calls the HR. Long and short story, that's how I landed a job at L'Oreal, right? So from writing a book to landing a job because of the book. So what is it that you're doing now? Don't just do it shoddily, do it so excellently. And that book, I remember that book in 2012 when I did it, it cost me about 1.2 million naira to publish it. This 1.2 million naira in 2012, not 2022, in 2012, right? But I knew that it had to be so good, right? Because of so it had a lot of pictures. I had to pay for, pictures, the design, everything. It cost, that much to do it, but it was excellent. Even if you see it now, you think it's something that was done, that you won't think that it's something that was done over a decade ago. Right. So whatever you do, make sure it's excellently done. Don't do anything shoddy. Let your work speak excellence. Let it speak, because you don't know who is going to come in contact with it and you don't know where it will lead you to. You don't know what doors it will open for you. Right. So always make sure you do whatever it is you're doing excellently, right? Let that be your trademark, excellence. So yes, I had that meeting and that's how I got a job in L'Oreal, right? So I literally worked in L'Oreal for like 2 years and then they had to shut down operations in Nigeria. And by this time I was already married, I was pregnant with my first child. And so they shut down operations. They wanted to actually move me back, they wanted to move me to the branch in Ghana, right? But my husband was not willing to go to Ghana. And if my husband is not going to Ghana, what am I going to look for in Ghana? So I stayed back. So yeah, I was married now with a child and no job. So it was in that season that, someone had sent me a flyer for an interior design training. Right. I remember I already had an interior design experience being the PA to the CEO of an interior design company, one of the big interior design firms. Right. So I, shared the flyer with my husband and then I went for the training. So the training was for 3 months or so. And then after the training, we did an internship, I think for a month or two, right? So that was how, I remember it was one of the days while I was interning, I was supervising a project and I just took a picture of myself, at the site, and I posted it on Instagram. Basically, I'm like, oh, hello, everybody. I'm now an interior designer. If you need interior design services, holla at your girl. And that's how I got my first two clients, right? Just by, posting a picture of myself on Instagram and saying that I'm not an interior designer. That very evening I posted it, I got two people in my DM. One was a commercial project, one was a residential project, and they were both in seven figures, right? And that's how I started business, almost 7 years ago now, right? So if you're here looking for, looking to start a business, my first question to you, one question that I want you to answer is, what do you really have a passion for? So remember, like I said, I had my passion for interior design was stirred in that previous job that I had, but I didn't do anything about it. So what do you have a passion for? Now that you've identified your passion, if you know what you really like to do, have you done any training in it? Aside from doing the physical training, I also did an online training with an international body. Right, so I did an online course on interior design, and I have a diploma for that as well. Right, so I trained myself. I didn't just say, I have passion for interior design, let me just go and start. No, yes, I did training. I did internship, right, before I started. And even when I started, it wasn't like it was. Yes, I had two clients, right? Of course, I made a few mistakes, and this was something that I also want you to know. You would make mistakes along the way, and that's okay. Mistakes are a normal part of growth. In fact, if you are not making mistakes, there's this quote that says, if you're not making mistakes, then you're not doing anything new, right? As long as you're venturing into something that you've not done before, you will make mistakes. But the point is, as you're making your mistakes, learn quickly from the mistakes and move on. Don't dwell in the mistakes, right? Don't dwell in the failures. You'll make a lot of mistakes, but learn quickly. Your mistakes are your lessons. You learn on the job. Take your mistakes, learn from them, and move forward. Because when you know better, you're able to do better in future, right? So how do you identify the right business to venture into? Like I said, from sharing my story, first identify what you really like. What do you really like? Or what problem do you really like to solve? Right. So I love to solve. I found out that, remember I said that I wanted to be a makeup artist when I finished school, years before then. Right. So I realized that at the core of what I really like is to make people's lives better. Either I'm making your face better by, doing your makeup, making you look more beautiful, or I'm making your space better by, transforming it and, making it beautiful. So is it our face or space or really people transforming? So at the core of what I do is really transforming lives, right? So you have to understand what's really the core of, what's really your passion, what's really your purpose. Beyond passion, beyond something that you're passionate about, is to understand your purpose. So I came to that place of understanding that what's really my purpose is transforming people's lives. So whether it's through makeup, by making them look more beautiful and feel more confident in themselves, or by transforming their homes to make them elevate how they live, how they work, and how they play, to elevate their standard of living. It's really all about transformation for me, right? So what is that thing for you? When you identify that, don't just go on and start. Get some training, get some skill in that work, in that field. Rather, get some skill, get some training. If you are companies that you can intern with, so you learn practically, apply for internships, right? Don't be part of those people who, I've had people who come to me for internships, even though, yes, we pay interns and at least, no, we give them an allowance, right, in my company. But don't go to a company to intern and you're expecting to be paid, 500,000. Go with the mindset of learning, because what you will learn, nobody can take it from you, right? Nobody can steal what you learn from you. Like, even when you leave the company, even when you're done interning and you move on, they are not going to tell you to drop the things you've learned in your brain or in your heart. No, right? But if it's money, you get money, you'll be paid, money will finish. But what you learn remains with you. So always go for learning over, over money, right? So if you have an opportunity to learn, to intern, take it. Take it, because you're helping yourself, you're developing yourself. It's growth, right? So on how to identify the right business to venture. One is what you're passionate about. So what problem you really want to solve, right? And then go for trainings, improve your skill on that, and just start. Like, just start. Don't you know? A lot of time when I speak with people, and I ask them, or they're asking me, oh, Funto, how do I start my business? How do I? There's no science to starting. Just start. Like I said, I just posted on Instagram and said, oh, I'm now an interior designer, and that very day I got my first two clients. Right. So just start. Just start. Just put this to post on your social media. Let people around you know that, oh, this is what you do, so that they can start to recommend you when anything comes up in line with what you do. They remember you, right? So just start. There's no science to starting other than starting. And when you start, like I said, of course you'll make mistakes, but make your mistakes, fail, but fail forward. Right? When you fail, move forward. There's a book actually by, oh, I can't remember who wrote the book. I can't remember, but it's called Fail Forward. Right? I think I read that book when I was in my 300 level. I actually failed the course in my 300 level. I think I failed tax. So I had to repeat the tax. You drove me to go and read that book, Fail Forward, and it was a very insightful book, which has really helped me even in life out after school. So yes, I'll recommend it. Can just Google it. You'll see it on Google. I'm sure you'll find it on Google. Fail Forward. So if you fail, make your failures early, and it's so important that you even fail early, so that within first 3 years you've already made all your mistakes and failed, and you've learned all your lessons, so that you can quickly grow, and can quickly scale. So just start, right? So the other next question that I was given to answer is what to look out for. Okay, I think I've answered that. What to look out for before starting a business. So okay, the next question is what to look out for before starting a business. So my number one answer will be, while passion is good, look out for passion. Do you have passion for this business that you want to start? But beyond passion is discipline, right? You're not going to wake up every day feeling motivated about, doing what you want to do. But are you disciplined enough to show up even when you don't feel like it, right? So those who last in business, those who last, those who build careers that last, have discipline to show up whether they feel like it or not. You're not going to feel like it every day, right? You're not going to feel like going to the office every day. You're not going to feel like doing this business every day. You're not going to feel like posting on, Instagram every day. But it's not about whether you feel like it or not, right? Do you have the discipline to pull through? Do you have the discipline to push through, right? One thing that I feel like, a lot of people in, this generation need to do better at is discipline. You don't just do things because you feel like it. You won't go so far in life with that attitude until you feel like it, then you do it. No, you do it because you have to do it. You do it because you know that showing up is adding to your daily growth. You are developing yourself, you are developing resilience. So when things are bad, when things are good, you're showing up, right? You're showing up, whether when you're failing, when you're making mistakes, and when you're acing your goals, you keep showing up, right? It's about consistency. Those who have lasted in business 10, 15, 20 years, go and check it. They had the discipline to keep showing up every time. So it wasn't just about passion. It wasn't just about, oh, I like this business. Oh, I like this idea. Let me do it. I'm passionate about it. There'll be times when the passion is not there. There'll be times when the passion is not there. So what will keep you going is discipline. Just like it's not every day you feel like taking your bath, for instance. It's not every day you feel like brushing your teeth, but you have to brush your teeth so that you not go outside and be a nuisance to yourself and to others. Do you get my point? So it's discipline, right? So what to look out for before starting a business, beyond passion, discipline. And again, training. Like I said, don't just jump into a business you have no idea about, or you're not, what the idea you have about the business is not clear. You're just, no. If you're going to conquer anything, you have to master it. You have to understand it very well, right? So I'm not now, this is different from waiting until you know it perfectly. No, is when I started my business. Yes, I did the training for 3 months. I did internship. I did an online course. But at the time I was starting, I didn't know everything there was to know. But I started. I just started in faith, and like I said, I made my mistakes, but I learned quickly and I moved on. Right? I moved on quickly from my mistakes. Right? So yes, look for beyond passion, discipline, and then training, build training and skill. Another thing I like to say is, I know that people always say, oh, how do you just start a business without capital? I know some of you have that question, like, where do I get the capital to start? The truth is, I always like to say that you don't need capital to start a business. What you really need is courage. Or, to put it another way, the capital you need for starting a business is courage. Just start it, right? Just start. You don't need to wait until you have 100,000, 1 million. I literally had no money, right? It's not like I had any money, so I didn't have any space. All I had was my phone, was my smartphone, and a social media account, right, and my Instagram. And I just posted on my Instagram. In fact, I before I posted on my Instagram, I had already, created a business page, put some pictures, some inspiration pictures, and then so when I posted that, oh, I'm not an interior designer, I tagged the page. That's how I started, right? Today, we have branches in Lagos and Abuja. We've had 2 offices. We had one in Okpebi. Now we are in Ikoyi. We have over 15 staff. We've done over 90 projects. But if I did not start, if I was waiting for the perfect condition, trust me, I probably would not be where I am today, right? So the secret is to really just start. Don't wait till you have, this huge amount of money so that you get an office space. You really don't need it. Now, with the way the world is, everything is global, everything is online, right? You don't need to go and get an office space. You don't need to, you just need to start, and start small. But when you start small, don't stay small. Don't think small, right? It says think big, but start small. Think global, but start local. Start with what you have. Start with what you have. And as you're diligent, as you're faithful with your little, it's going to multiply into so much more, right? That's why, for those of us that are Christians, the scripture says, do not despise the days of little beginnings. Every beginning must be little. Nothing great starts big. Nothing great starts with a bang. I want you to write that down. Nothing great, nothing that will be great starts off big. It always starts small. It always starts with one person, and then one person being faithful, being diligent, being disciplined, showing up when they don't feel like showing up. And that's how things grow. Do you see that? So I hope that has, helped. The next question I was given is how to create structures for small business operation, right? So if you started your business already, you're about to start your business, how do you create a structure, right? So if it's just you in your business, you yourself, you're the business owner, you're the accountant, you're the social media manager, you're the everything, you're the chief everything officer. That's a good place to start, right? But what would help you is to document all the things you do in your business for the different roles you do. So you know that now you are the chief everything officer, you are the MD, you are the accountant, you are the social media manager. So what you do as the MD, document it down. What you do as the social media manager, document it down. So for instance, for as social media manager, you are supposed to create a content schedule for a week, so you document it and create weekly content schedule, post on social media 3 times daily or 3 times weekly, check social media analytics, all of that. Everything that you're supposed to do as a social media person, write it down. Everything you're supposed to do as a bookkeeping person. So you're supposed to note down how much was made daily, take the money, if it's cash, take the money to the bank weekly, or transfer the money to the bank weekly. Just document your processes, so that why this is good is so that when you now are able to employ someone other than you who can join you to build the business, the person already has a document, that helps the person to understand how to work with you or how to do certain roles in the business. Do you see that? So that's a good way for creating structure. And another way is to separate yourself from the business. So most, entrepreneurs, are not really, they're not really operating as entrepreneurs. Most people who say they're entrepreneurs are not really operating as, they are operating as people that are self-employed, because you're the only one, and then you and the business are not separate. You need to separate yourself from your business. Have you registered the business legally? Do you have a separate business account for the business, or you're still using your business your own personal account for people to pay into for the business? Sometimes I buy things from some Instagram vendors, and when they send me their personal accounts to pay into, it just doesn't look professional. It's not professional. Like, why are you running a business if I'm paying into your personal account? you know, right? So it is not professional, right? So separate yourself from the business. This is your business, whatever the name is. So 528 is a separate entity from Fonto Eboye, right? So we are both separate people. This is the business. Yes, I'm the owner of the business, but I also have a life outside the business. I have an entire life outside the business, right? So from the one, from when you start, you need to start separating yourself. Register the business. If you're registering your business name, or you're registering it as a, limited liability, whatever it is you're registering it as, register it, open a separate account, operate it professionally. When people, when you get customers or clients who, want to use your services or buy your product, you give them your business account, not your personal account, right? So separate yourself from this. So those are a few ways to, put in structure, right, as a small business, enterprise. And then another question that I have to answer here is, how do you manage pressure? I mean, there would always be pressure in life. We can't run away from it. And the thing about it is, what you must understand is pressure is necessary for us to grow. Because if there's no pressure and we're just there, everything is just chill, we're just in our comfort zone, nothing is, disturbing, you just be there. Like, but when pressure comes, it gives you the ability. First of all, when challenges happen, you first of all have to think up solutions to solve the problems. That's already putting you on your toes. Like, what do I do now? Who do I call? Where do I go? So you're able to think on your feet. One of the things that I tell my staff a lot is, when there's a problem, don't call me. Like, that's one of the trainings I give my staff, especially new people that join my team. Like, don't call me when you have a problem, right? Think about, okay, this problem has happened. What do I need to do? How can I solve it? What are the possible solutions to this problem? If you now have tried all the solutions and they are not working, then you can now call me. But when you call me, don't tell me about the problem. Tell me, okay, this is the problem that happened. I tried to solve it this way, but it did not work. So I'm calling for your advice on what else to do. So do you see the difference in that? Don't call me and say, oh, ma, there's this problem. Okay, what did you do about it? If you're you can't even be in my company and be calling me and telling me there's a problem, then I don't need you. Then you're not going to be useful to me, right? But that's what pressure does. That's what challenges come to help you think on your feet. And that's one thing that gave me an advantage where I worked at L'Oreal, and the other companies I worked at before starting my own business. I was already taking proactive steps. I was already responsible, taking ownership of my role. So when we had issues, when we had challenges, I wasn't going to my boss to say, oh, there's this challenge, I don't know what to do. No, every time I went to my boss, it was that I had tried everything I could possibly try, and the challenge was still challenging. Or there was no solution, right? The only time I went to my boss was when it was beyond me, right? So yeah, you must have that mindset. When challenges, there would always be pressure, there would always be challenges, because you're going to grow. So when that challenge comes, you solve it. It has already stretched you, right? You've already handled it. You're not on the same level you were before the challenge came, so you've grown. Do you see that? So challenges come to help you go. So embrace the pressure. Embrace the challenge. Don't run away from challenges. Don't try to look for someone else to solve it. Then what's the point? If you have a challenge and you're always looking for someone else to help you solve it, or you're always going to one auntie, one uncle, whatever, then you're not going to grow that way, right? You're not going to grow that way. When challenges come, take it on, right? if it's be if you think through it, you'll find solutions, right? And if you've done your best and you've tried to find solutions and if nothing is changing, then you can now seek help. That's where the place of mentors come in, coaches, all of that, people that you can reach out to, to help you. Maybe people who have probably gone through the same problem, maybe in their own business or their career, and they can now give you their advice on what they did when they had such issues, right? But you try to solve it first by yourself. Don't just run, or you just try to run away from it, or try to hide from it. Hey, no, you're not going to go that way, right? So challenges come, pressure comes to help us grow, basically. Right. So is this has this been an amazing session? I'll soon be done. I know that I have 40 minutes and I've already spent 42 minutes, but I think I have one more question to answer. So yes, manage pressure, embrace the pressure. There would always be pressure. So, after, and, take time to rest, as you're building your business, because guess what? Some people say, oh, they don't want to do a 9 to 5, and they don't want to work for somebody else so that they can have time to themselves. The truth is, if you start your own business, your business is from when you wake up in the morning to when you sleep at night. It's from 6 a.m. to 12, 6 a.m. to 5:59 a.m. Right? But find time to rest. Find time to rest, because it's in when you rest that your creative juices are, you know, they come up. So you're able to think creatively on issues, on how to grow, on how to scale. So find time to rest. So if you're running a business, right, make sure that at least one day a week you're taking that day to rest. So if it's Saturdays or Sundays, oh, I don't work on Sundays, I don't do business on Sundays, you make that as a policy. So for me in my company, we don't go to the office on Mondays and Fridays. We do Wednesdays, Thursdays, and I've been on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays in the office. But Mondays, you will never see me in the office, right? Except for some rare cases where I absolutely have to be. Maybe I have a client that really needs me on that particular Monday. And so the team also rests. So we are not, so when everybody is rushing to the office Monday morning, entering traffic, we are not rushing anywhere. All of us, we are sleeping in our house, right? Because first of all, we're a creative business. We need everybody to be at rest to create great ideas. Do you understand? So find what works for you. And then on Fridays as well, we work from home or work from site. Right. So yes, final question is different creative styles and strategies that can help a small business stand out. What would help you stand out as a business, right? Number one, you need to know your USP. USP stands for your unique selling points, but I like to say it's your unique secret points. And you need to know and identify what exactly it is for you personally as a person and then as a business, right? The truth is there's so many people doing whatever it is you want to do now. There's so many people already doing it. So how do you stand out? I always say people can copy your designs. For instance, if you're a fashion designer, if you're an interior designer, whatever it is, your people can copy you, right? But there's something they cannot copy. That's your USB. They can't copy. Then when people say, "Oh, someone copied our design and went to recreate it," that's fine. Let them copy, but they can't copy my grace. They can't copy the way I design my spaces. Just like how our fingerprints are different. That's how every business is different. Every business has a unique secret point. So what you need to identify what that is for you, right? So for me, remember I said earlier that at the core of my purpose is really transforming lives. So whether I'm transforming faces, transforming spaces, or transforming people, is really at the core of it is transformation. So when I design a space, it's beyond just putting chair and table together and combining colors. No, there's a grace that I work with, right? So when we work with people, or when we do spaces for people, right, we don't just hear stories about testimonials about this place is beautiful, this person. No, the kind of testimonies we hear are like testimonies that you probably only hear in church, like, oh my God, I feel we literally handed over a project to a client last week, and all she kept saying was, wow, I feel so much peace here. I feel so much peace here, So we don't know maybe what she was battling with. Maybe she was battling with some depressing issue or depressing challenges. And soon as she stepped into this space, she was like, wow, there's so much peace. And she was saying it with almost tears in her eyes, like, wow, there's so much peace here. There's so much peace here. Do you see? So what's that unique secret point for you? You must find it and identify it. And then, to also stand out, finally, you need to identify who your client is. Not everyone is your client. You need to analyze and identify who your target client is. Not everybody, I want you to write it down. Not everybody is my client. Not everybody is my customer. You're not here to serve everybody. You're not here to do business with everybody. Because when you're able to identify who your client or your customer is, you're better prepared to serve them excellently. Do you see? You're better prepared to serve your clients excellently, right? And you're able to meet their need because you have been called to them and they have been called to you. So thank you once again for having me. I hope this was an amazing and insightful session for you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for those impactful words. Like, we're blessed. I have so much in my notes, so much in my notes, and I want to believe that everyone has one or two things that they've learned and they are willing to apply in their own business or in their own career. So now we're going to the question. Do you have any question for our speaker? Is there anything you want to know concerning your business, or anything that she has not mentioned that you would like to know? Please send in your questions. But then we have two questions to ask you, ma'am, and I'm going to go into that now. The first question says that, how do you deal with disappointment when your creative idea is not accepted by people you pitch them to? How do you deal with disappointment when your creative idea is not accepted by people you pitch them to? That's the
I love it.
question, ma'am.
I love it so much. So if you pitch your idea, you have this great idea, you think this is the best idea since sliced bread was invented, and you pitch it to people and they don't, accept it. Well, yes, it's going to be disappointing, and that's okay. It's okay to feel the disappointment, but after feeling the disappointment, and maybe you probably shed a few tears, clean your eyes and go back to that your idea. Like, how can you think of ways you can make it better? Think of ways you can present it better. If you really feel like truly this is the best idea since sliced bread, then it's either that you did not present it in a way and manner for it to be accepted the way you expected, or you need to tweak some things in the idea, or you're not able to articulate the idea as you're supposed to, right? So you need to go back to the drawing board, sit with the idea, or there are people who help with pitches, there are people who help with presentations, right? So maybe you need to find someone who can help you with that, and just go back to the drawing board. But don't what you don't want to do is, like I shared earlier, you make mistakes and that's fine, but learn from your mistakes and move on, fail forward. So this is one failure, right? They didn't accept it. Okay, how can I do it better? What do I need to do to make it more presentable so that people can accept it? What do I need to, what exactly do I need to show them about the idea that will make them accept it? Do you see? So you need to go back to the drawing board on that. I hope that helps.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you so much. So the second question says that, at what point should I separate my personal money, which I have invested into my business, from the profit I am making? At what point should I separate my personal money, which I have
I love
invested into my business, from the profit I'm making?
at the point when you feel like your business can now stand on its own and can now begin to pay you back. When you've invest, of course, you invest your personal money into the business when you start, right? So at what point will you now start to, pay yourself back? Is when you feel like this business now, it can now begin to pay me salary, right? I can now begin to earn a salary, or to earn dividend from my investments in this business. And that point, you yourself, you will know when the business is doing well enough to for you to begin to do that. You will know when you're having lots of sales, you're making profits. You can tell by yourself. Do you see? So it's not that, oh, you invested in the business this month, you started the business, the next month you now want the business to start paying back. That business is not going to grow. You keep investing in it. You keep That's one of the principles of business, is that you keep plowing back into the business until the business can stand on its own firmly, right? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so. I feel like employee experience will up to make me run my business better. If I can't intern on site, how do I go about it? Virtual internship has not worked. So the person is saying, how can I intern? If I can intern on site, how can the person go about it? That's the question.
Well, I don't know about virtual internships, right? But I mean, come across people who have done businesses who do not have any employee experience, but they are doing well, right? So don't limit yourself to, oh, say no, you must have an employee. If you want to have an employee experience, that's good. It's good to intern, it's good to serve, so you see how people are doing stuff. But that's not necessarily you know, that's not the only way for you to build a good business. There are other ways. There are books you can read. You can read books of people who have built businesses that last, build businesses that are profiting. When you read people's books, they share their stories, they share their mistakes, they share their learnings, they share their wisdom, and you can take all of that in and see how you can apply that into your own business. Do you see? So don't limit yourself to, oh, I have to have an employee experience. No. And wherever you are, find yourself serve, volunteer, whether it's in church, whether it's at an, remember I said that it was when I was volunteering for an event, not work, was a conference. That's where I met this MD who gave me my job at L'Oreal, right? So volunteer, serve. When you work with people, you learn how to interact with people, you learn interpersonal relationship, you learn how to deal with people, because at the core of your business is people. Your customers are people, your clients are people, your staff are people, right? So when you volunteer and serve in a community of people, you learn how to work better with people, right? Yeah. Are there any more questions? Hi, can you hear me? Are we still here? Hello.
Hello, Ma. So we have this question and this person is asking, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
This
you.
person is asking, starting up a business in a new location, how do I manage or cope with low pricing with your high finishing compared to other people's price which is lower?
Well, first off, starting a new location is a whole different ball game, right? But I like to say, don't compare your pricing to another, person's pricing that is doing the same thing as you are. What you're offering, it might be the same thing, but how you're offering it is completely different, right? So somebody, I mean, I always say, for instance, I'm into interior design. There's so many people who say that they are interior designers right now, and that's fine. The more the merrier, right? But I'm not going to say because there are so many people doing the business, I'm now going to lower my own. No, I know what I'm offering you. I know the level of excellence I'm bringing. I know what I'm bringing to the table. So if you want my own unique touch, you're going to have to pay for my. So it's about, first of all, understanding your own value. What value are you bringing? right? And that value justifies the price, right? So don't do your pricing based on, "Ah, these people are offering lower, this person is," no, it's the value. So just like our, Coca-Cola, right? On the road, if you're in traffic and you want to buy Coca-Cola, how much do you buy it? Maybe 200 naira now, or 100 naira now. But if you're, let's say, in an hotel, maybe a three-star or four-star hotel, you're not going to buy Coca-Cola for 200 naira. You're going to buy Coca-Cola for at least 1,500 naira. It's
500.
not the
Yeah.
same Coca-Cola. It's the same Coca-Cola, but value is different. First of all, they are going to serve it in a glass cup with ice and lime, and they're going to give you a nice straw. I'm going to sit under an AC restaurant to enjoy your drink, right? So, do you see? It's value. So, if you're going to charge this amount, what's the added value to it? Do you see that? I hope that helps.
Sure. So the next question is saying, when doing as a starter, how do you how do your recruitment to the new intake, and I don't I want to believe this person is asking, when you're starting up a business and then you're a new intake, like what is the motivation? So that should be, I don't know if you can reframe this question, MK Farm, so it can be
Yeah, I think
answered.
maybe person is saying, how do you recruit new intakes? Oh, well, I mean, there are
Okay.
different ways. There are different ways, right? Either you get someone, who does recruitment, or you post on social media. That I see a couple of people who do that. So we are hiring this for this role. Send your resumes to this email, and then you have an interview with all of them, and you pick the one who is most suited for the role, right? And then how do you keep your staff motivated? Really consistent training. One of the things that we do a lot at 528 is training constantly. We are training weekly, we're training, monthly, quarterly. We are always consistently training our staff, because people want to know that you actually care for them you know, more than they are just working for you in your business, right? So you want to be human to people. You want to show people that you really care for them. You care about them, not just about the work that they do for you or with you, but about their life, generally. So that's how you keep people motivated. When they say that, this person really cares for me, this person really cares about my well-being, right? Then they'll be motivated to give their best on the job. Yep. So I hope that helps. I
Thank you
can't
so
hear you.
Thank you so much for this powerful section. It has actually opened my mind, and I'm very sure I'm not the only one. It has opened our minds to know things that we're supposed to do when we want to start a business, or how to even discover the business that we should venture into. And I'll just briefly say that one of the things that you said is know what you want to do. And I think that that is the highest, whenever you want to start a business, know what you want to do. Don't follow trend. Don't say because of people are doing it, you want to do. Make sure that it is what you want to do. So thank you so so much, man. We appreciate you. We celebrate you, and we look forward to to exploring everything that you've taught us today. Thank you very much, man. Yeah. Bye. We can't hear you. Okay.